Hey, this is Tommy Sullivan, and in this video I'm going to be continuing our discussion about the Homeowners Selector web service improvements. And what I want to focus on now are two components, the tool and the web service. So just to reiterate, I've got a business person who tells an SM person who uses a tool and a manual process to edit some XML. And what this XML is from a business standpoint is it's an expression of rule specifics. Let's say that for now. Let's call it that. Okay? Now once this is changed, alright, and keep in mind that this tool is able to some extent to test this, I believe, and also there's a way to test this statistically, so keep that in mind. But anyways, once this is changed, it goes through the pipeline, and I'm not going to go to the details. This video is to kind of skip over those details. But we want to shorten that pipeline and get it over to, and this is the other side of the world, the web service. Because here's how the web service works, right? I've got my web service, and I've got a bunch of calling applications, and they pass in some basic parameters like who they are and what zip code or what have you, and those come into the web service. Now you can think of the web service as really having two parts. One is the XML that we just talked about, or more generally, it's an expression of rule specifics. So this is basically what varies over time. You know, a business person tells us some person, hey, given the current system that we have today, I can vary the specifics of a vendor's hours of operation or the zip code or what have you, right? All of that is encapsulated in this XML, and the way that works is when the web service is actually trying to make this all happen, it has these two parts. It just has the logic, right? The logic is the program that implements this web service, and it looks at this XML and says, you know, if you find this, this, and this combination, that means you should resolve to such and such vendor for this particular user, and then send them on their way. So this XML is largely what's changing over time, and it's just changing through this pipeline, right? So how it gets here is, you know, I take the server down periodically, and I elevate the whole thing, the XML and the logic, all to this thing, and in this pipeline it's really well tested, which includes testing a test version of this web service to see if statistically what I'm getting back is what I'm expecting. So it goes through all of that rigor, and then it comes up here. Now what we're talking about in the new world is we want to shorten this pipeline. So essentially what we're saying is we're no longer going to totally take a server down, a web service down, and replace the logic and the XML at the same time. Okay, what we're going to do is this half over here is going to always run and be serving up these things to customers. Customers being these different applications. Here's the customer talking to, say, Flash, talking to this web service. And these are apps here. Alright, so everything on this side is actually going to stay in production. We just want to vary this. And right now I'm using the word XML, but really it's any expression of rule specifics that this logic will work with. So obviously the design of this logic kind of determines the format in which you specify what the business would say is an expression of the rule specifics, right? So there's a translation here. Okay, so I'm going to continue from here in the next talk, and we're going to go into how we can potentially shorten this pipeline and make this dynamic, and what it looks like if we keep it in XML and the implications of that versus if we do another approach, which is we replace this with a SQL database, which implies then that this must change because this modifies XML, so this would have to change the SQL database as well. Or maybe a hybrid approach. But I'm going to get to the meat of the matter in this next video. Thanks.